Welcome back to 11 of the last 20. Next on our countdown is a player universally praised for his on-field intelligence and the only guy on this list to ever win a state championship. Check him out.
Number 7, Manheim Central's Nate Mast, all-state linebacker, Barron's all-time leader in tackles.
There's the numbers for Nate Mast tonight, not to mention a handful of tackles on defense as well.
Man, I'm glad you brought up Nate Mast because to me, he was one of our best players.
Oh, Nate Mast lowers the boom on Panabecker.
Nate Mast was one of the most intelligent linebackers that we've had. We've had some really good linebackers, and Nate kind of was one of the best.
Wants to throw, getting pressure, and down he goes at the 10. Nate Mast gets the sack.
Undersized. Not the biggest guy in the world, and he played the all-important linebacker position for Central. He was in the middle of everything. I'll always remember Nate as just being a really hard-nosed kid who knew how to find the ball.
Panabecker upended. Nate Mast upends Panabecker.
Understood the game, knew where to be, studied the game.
He could, in the first step, know where to go.
Nate Mast, he's only 5'7", but he took the rug out of Walker right at the line of scrimmage.
And that doesn't come without studying the game. And he was excellent because he wasn't the biggest guy, he wasn't the fastest guy, but he sure was the smartest guy out there.
He was the guy who knew his role, who knew the defense. Like if you ever saw the game show, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and if you didn't know an answer, you had the chance to call a friend. Nate would be the guy, if you wanted to know something about our defense, you'd call Nate on the phone and say, hey, what are we doing this play? And he could probably tell you.
And then Fitzke got some help from Nate Mast as well to drop Burkholder for about a 4, maybe a 5-yard loss.
You look at his contribution not only as an upperclassman, but go back to his sophomore season when they were in the state championship team.
Let's meet Manheim Central defensively. They've got an outstanding secondary. Nate Mast is an under-publicized inside linebacker. You'll see him in a lot of the pictures tonight.
Here's a guy that, as a sophomore, amongst all these other big-name contributors, he was a guy that added a lot to that Manheim Central defense.
State championship, gold medal time for the Manheim Central Barons, their first ever.
Understood the nuances of the game from what I can remember and just made plays.
Number 6, Quan Calico's Ben Fromm, Eagles all-time leader in sacks and forced fumbles.
Ben Fromm was a human wrecking ball.
3rd down and 5, and Tyler Flick is going to be wrestled to the turf by Ben Fromm.
I coached his dad. He and his dad were a lot alike. They weren't real big, about 230 pounds. But the thing about both of them, especially Ben, he went full speed on every play.
Jet sweep, and wow, they are just flying to the ball. Stubler with nowhere to go.
Everything that you would want out of a defensive lineman, he provided it for you. He was in on tackles. Tackles for loss, and this guy thrived on hitting opposing ball carriers in the backfield.
Great coverage by the defense.
He caused fumbles, he recovered fumbles. Extremely strong, extremely athletic, and was able to flow with the play and get after the ball carrier. And again, another guy that, because of his success, would see a lot of double teams. Never phased him. He still came out and put up some tremendous numbers in his career.
He was a tough nut, and it was really scary.
Simon being chased by Fromm across the middle, and it's picked off.
How he would get off blocks and pursue and make tackles. He was really tough, one of the toughest defensive players I think that we have played against in our games with Quan Calico.
He was an animal. In fact, sometimes the coaches had to calm him down a little bit because he played so hard.
That's Fromm
At defensive tackle that he was fun to watch, and I really enjoyed watching him get in the backfield.
Number 5, Manheim Central's Tyler Simon, 2017 Section 2 Linebacker of the Year, future starter at Shippensburg University.
If I had to describe Tyler in I guess 2 words, I'd say head hunter.
Ooh! Takes a shot as it comes across the 25-yard line.
Yeah, that was Tyler. I was talking to Coach Shelley before the game. In fact, Coach Shelley said he's crazy.
Tyler Simon was just what I'd refer to as a heat-seeking missile.
Oh, is that number 20?
That's Simon again.
Simon again.
He got all the tools, strength, size, and a mentality that was second to none, a motor that was second to none.
Being chased, throws it back across the middle, and the pass broken up.
Simon definitely has a nose for the ball. And he has a very nasty attitude.
You think?
Played some safety early on, and by his senior year, linebacker. Free-flowing kind of a kid who could just run, fill gaps, chase you down, and make tackles.
And look who made the tackle, free safety, Mr. Simon.
He was really good defensively.
He was just a tenacious tackler. If someone came across the middle, I mean, it was lights out.
Coach Shelley told me he was a hitter.
You were getting hit, and you were going to get hit as hard as he could possibly hit you. You know, clean, but he was going to hit you. He was going to make his presence felt. He took the time to study film, understood what the coaches wanted, and he's got a little bit of what you want in every defensive player. He's a little nutty sometimes. So, and that's a good characteristic. I'm not saying that in a bad way.
This is a guy that was just fearless. Swings it outside to Shand, and oh, he takes a hit. Tyler Simon. And when it came to a ball carrier, he was the one that was dishing it out, and I think he enjoyed every minute of it.
He had some of the best hits in games. You have people in the crowd going crazy on his some of those hits that he had. But he was a good linebacker. Probably one of the best that maybe the best linebacker we've ever had, man.
Number 4, Warwick's Nick Coomer, 2018 All-State Defensive Lineman. Future University of Delaware Blue Hen.
Nick Coomer was an animal.
Himmelsbach is going to be sacked back at the 42, and it's Nick Coomer.
Size, big kid, had a great motor.
High energy guy. This is a guy that all out all the time.
He's going to be sacked. Number 60, Nick Coomer with the sack.
Nick was that rare combination of speed, agility, and strength. And you look at defensive football players, I kind of think, what impact did he have? And if you talk to opposing coaches, they had to scheme for Nick.
On first down, nothing going.
When the ball was snapped, there was no time off. He went full speed. And I remember watching him when we were doing the games on TV, and I purposely just watched him. He never took a play off.
Schwill again under pressure, and Nick Coomer with the sack. Back at the 25-yard line.
He was somebody that would disrupt an offense, and I think that speaks volume about him. Physically just tough as nails. Excellent tackler. Had a variety of moves from DT and DE.
Going to be Nick Coomer. Going to wrap him up and drop him for a loss.
Just strong and tenacious, and we'd try to double team him, he'd beat it. For a defensive lineman to be as noticed as much as he was, shows just how good he was, and got moved on to Delaware and doing good things down there as well. So great career for him.
Might have been a little underrated here for defensive end because he was such a great all-star offensive lineman.
And when Coomer's in there with Rucci, you can't get two better ones.
In the end, the thing was, he was just so strong and so quick for his size. It made it very difficult for other teams to prepare for him.
We've cracked the top 5 in our countdown, but coming up next, we unveil who made the top 3 and who's walking away as our #1 football defensive player of the last 20 years.